Obviously, we're all buying into that the more that you can listen, the more that you can understand, the more you can meet somebody where they're at, you can explain the benefits, create the context. This sounds like it takes a lot of time. And like at a very practical level in a contact center where you're trying to minimize costs and you're tracking average handle times. But this sounds like you're wanting us to spend more time. And there is a very large trend to deprioritize things like average handle times and focus more on spending time and creating. Maybe it's not first time resolution. Maybe you're not going to be able to handle it the very first time. So, how does this play into the typical metrics of how we're judged in a contact center?
First of all, you get the outcomes based on what you measure. And we've tried lots of things. Honestly, the worst thing you can measure and track agents on is average handling time. Because what you're getting then is a person trying to finish the conversation as quickly as possible and moving on to the next one. So the most underwhelming and underperforming era of the customer service that we had was when we were tracking average handling time, because no agent wanted to take the time to answer anything. They just wanted to move on. So it's much, much better to track the resolution rate and the return callers. And it's also really good to route conversations back to the original agent. If you couldn't solve it in the first go, for whatever reason, you're going to get it back. So take your time, help the customer, make whatever they need to get done and solve it. And if you can't solve it, then it's not the customer's problem to own it. Then you, as the contact center organization, would own the issue. Then you can escalate it 55 times internally in your own organization if you would like to. But the contact center organization then owns the issue and owns the task of getting back to the customer. And that takes time, but it's time that is well invested. We've done all the metrics you can think about this. If you're talking about lifetime value for a customer, if you're talking about quarterly profits as a public listed stock company, maybe not. But if you're talking about lifetime value that you should be focusing on, then it's worth every second.
Well said. Well said. That was almost like a trick question. Like the average handle times and things like that. There's really in today's modern era of how we're looking at this, if we believe at all that we're not a cost center, we're a value center, then we can't track things like that and put that up as the most important metric.
With that said, it's also about if you're having 2,000 agents and 2 million contacts a year, 2 more seconds per contact, it costs money. So that's why you always, as you're into the value side of it, what you're getting here that you should never forget, and this is probably something that we didn't cover, that I forgot that we should cover, that's because it's important. If you're having 2 million conversations, that's a enormous amount of insights that you can get from this. So every interaction has a value regardless of the outcome because you've learned something. The question is, how can you transfer that knowledge from 2,000 content center agents into the organization?